All right, man, we're back. It's been so long. Rollin Heavy returns with the start of season two. I am your host, Big D, joined as always by the notorious BOF, um, brother, best friend. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to be back. Good to be back.
It-
It's been a long while. So good to be back here on the airways, I guess. I mean, not to. I mean, here to be back on the wires. I don't know which one to say.
the internets,
The internets. Here we
the
go.
internets.
Here we go on the internets, on the computers and cell phones and air whatever. You're picking up what I'm putting down. If you smell what the BOF is cooking,
Ooh, I don't know if I want to smell that.
you don't.
And I'm glad you say that though, because we are going to be transitioning in our topics. Normally, this is a jujitsu focused podcast in live stream, but um, unfortunately, BOF and I both suffered career ending injuries and can no longer roll. I believe you had was it MCL, ACL?
all
Your
the
knee, your
all the
knees just
all the
broke.
um so the only ligament I have left in my knee is the ACL.
I mean, 1 out of 3 ain't bad.
Technically one out of, let's see. So I have one, two, three, yeah, 1 out of 5 is what it is.
Okay.
Yeah, so actually maybe six. PCL, my patellar femoral tendon, my both of my LCL, my MCL. So yeah, whatever, however many that is.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's all right. I mean, I can still walk. I just can't. I got front and back. I don't have side to side.
The lateral movements where the issue is.
Yep.
um, yeah, and then I had a pretty serious shoulder injury. Ended up getting surgery, and
Yep. Went under the knife for that one.
yeah, it was not pleasant. Um, Essentially, my ligaments in my shoulder were all messed up. My clavicle was jammed into my AC joint, so we had to grind down a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of my clavicle, um, reconstruct the ligaments in my shoulder, and then when we were in there, I say we like I was helping my doctor with surgery on my
Yeah.
own shoulder. Uh,
Actually, if you're gonna be in there, might I suggest you do this?
and my bicep was starting to detach. So he had to fully detach my bicep, rebuild my shoulder, and then reattach my bicep somewhere else. And he was like, "You should probably not do whatever it you did to get there." So here we are.
I I am telling you. I told you before you went in for the surgery, dude. If they can, Winter Soldier that.
Yeah, I mean, I would much rather have a Winter Soldier arm than
It was
a
it was
busted shoulder.
basically it was basically all unattached anyway. I mean, take that off, screw the Winter Soldier arm on, and you're good.
There you go. Unfortunately, I don't have Winter Soldier money, so I just had to go with the repaired broken ass shoulder that I have now.
Just fall off a train in, I'm assuming, some Russian country.
That's all I need to do. Go back to World War
Sure.
II,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Yeah, easy, easy peasy. They do it all the time.
So yeah, new topic.
This is a
And
wrestling show, not a Marvel show.
yes, yes, yeah. Now we're gonna start going on. We're gonna have to start another one.
Welcome
Um,
to tangents. It wouldn't be
the show
wouldn't be
hasn't even
rolling
started.
it wouldn't be rolling heavy without a non-topic topic.
Yes. So those of you that have listened before previously, the transition is going to be into WWE, WCW, professional wrestling type topics. It's something that if you've listened to the show, you know we would go off on very long tangents talking about professional wrestling. And we decided, well, what better way to revive the podcast than just to start talking about professional wrestling.
Go on
Um,
all the tangents.
on all the tangents, and hopefully our tangents will be somewhat on topic because typically when we go on tangents, they are wrestling related.
Yes, I think they won't be. They will be WWE or probably tangents, but probably not topic. Well, we're not what we're talking about,
Yes.
in the moment. They'll be semi-relevant
Yes, they're more relevant than they were in jiu-jitsu.
for sure. I only knew 5 things about jiu-jitsu. I know
That's
8 things about wrestling, so we're good to go.
hey, we're already starting off on a better foot.
Yep.
So yeah, that's going to be the transition. I do want to let everyone know, if you are familiar with professional wrestling, we are, as it stands right now, we're going to skew probably pretty heavily Attitude Era, Golden Era um, of wrestling. So late 80s through the 90s and early 2000s. That's kind of when we watched a lot. We're both right now trying to catch up on some of the new stuff. We're going through Raws from the recent years and the newer pay-per-views. I'm caught up with my WrestleManias, so I've watched the latest WrestleMania, I think 2 weeks ago. um, so I've watched WrestleMania 40. We hopefully we can transition into some topics that are more relevant to what's happening in the sport now, and not reliving some of the glory days.
Yes. Yeah. And yeah, I just finished the 2023 Royal Rumble. Um, I went way, way, way back. I first started. When I'm like, you know what, I really kind of want to get back into it, and I've gone back and forth. I'm like, I'm gonna try to watch wrestling. Gonna try to watch wrestling. Um, but didn't really know where to find it. But now, luckily, Peacock has it, so that's good. So I'm like, I'm gonna go way, way back. So I started episode one, January 11, 1993, the very first Raw.
And I bet it
And
was garbage.
it here's all I will say. you know, for whatever you think of Vince McMahon, good or bad, that guy knew how to build a a a sports entertainment show and empire. Because if you watch those first Raws, blah, garbage.
Yeah.
Like it's like someone farted in your mouth. Like it is garbage. Like, but it they're probably really good for 93. But compared to what you see on Raw now,
Yeah.
it this might as these look like they were fights that just kind of showed up at a bar. Like, but you need a foundation, right? And that's where the foundation came from. Um, so I'm like, yep. I went through about 4 episodes of that. Said nope. Watch the watch the Royal Rumble because I'm aware of what happened at the latest WrestleMania. So I
Yeah.
wanted to see. I wanted to go back to the previous Royal Rumble so I can catch the storyline up until this WrestleMania
Gotcha.
and watch it. So,
Yeah, and
and
that's
that's
kind
fine.
of what I'm doing too. I'm not going quite as far back into 2023. I'm starting with January 24, going through all the Raws. I'm not really watching NXT or SmackDown right now. Um, Mainly just Raw. There's so much content now.
I know.
Um,
Yeah, it's a full time job just to watch
yeah.
WWE. So WWE, if you want me to watch you full time, let's sit down and talk.
Hey, we're available for sponsorships right now.
Yep,
I know you guys are working on getting your branding and everything out there. We're your guys.
we're your guys. Look it, we're international podcasters.
Very true. Very true. Um, so let's get down to our topic today.
That's
Um,
that's probably a good idea.
yeah, I mean, we should start talking about what we want to talk about. And we're going to be going through our personal top five best and worst entrances. Um, Rules for this were non jobbers. So the
Superstars.
superstarish level people, um, and kind of graded on. I'm trying to think of all of the criteria we had. There were only three, so it's not many.
Yeah.
But
It was like crowd. It
crowd
was like crowd
reaction,
reaction,
yeah, crowd reaction. What?
music.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't remember. Honestly, I here's full disclosure. I kind of forgot about the criteria,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I was just like, did I like it? Did I not? Do I not like it? I don't like it. Worst list. Do I like it? Does it go on the best list? I like it. I don't hate it. I don't like it. So it's kind of in just a random pile. So so
Yeah.
those were my criteria. How much do I like it? Do I like it? Do I like it enough to write it down, or do I dislike it enough to write it down?
Yeah. It's like, oh, this is bad, or it's like,
Ugh.
oh, this is not so bad.
Yeah, this is pretty good. I like this.
These ones are just always good.
And plus, like you said, as we're kind of starting, in the late 80s, early 90s attitude era, is there, do I remember, how did I feel when that hit, right?
Right.
Where's
Yeah.
the nostalgia? Is there a nostalgia factor to this for me? If there is, boom. Which is my top five, which was my kind of, when we get to the list, my number five of my top five bests
Okay.
is very much a nostalgic pick right there.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's just dive right in. We're going to start with our worst entrances. We've got some honorable mentions
Very
before
good.
we get into the top five. So why don't you have a little more honorable mentions than I do? So why don't you hit us with some of your honorable mention worst
What
entrances?
a so I will say I'll say two right now. So like I said, I was watching the Royal Rumble actually earlier today, and the the shoosh hit, and I'm like, ugh, I hate that.
Yeah.
And that was kind
Okay.
of like the catchphrase. So didn't make the top five for my worst, but Alpha Academy for sure is one of the worst.
Don't
Maybe
like the
not
shoosh.
not the shoosh. I hate it. You shoosh. You shoosh me. I shoosh you. So yeah, that one I do not like at all.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and then the next one, test. I don't.
Ooh, that's a little spicy.
Yeah, was not a big fan. Not a big fan of the test character, and I
Okay.
guess as kind of by just since I don't like the character, I obviously don't like the entrance. So
That's fair. I mean, I can't say that. I didn't. I thought Test was fine. I don't feel like he was all time great by any means, but I didn't even think about Test putting him on.
I well, and honestly, I think Test was one of the guys that could have done. He could have been more than what he ended up being.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Like yeah, like kind of that mid jobber or that mid Carter. Like maybe had the talent to be, but I don't know. I don't know if it was a him thing or if a WWE thing, but yeah, just so that's what, but he's not on the official list. He's just on the test or on the
On the
honorable mention
tests.
list. He's on the test. So there you go. So those are my first two honorable mentions.
All right, I have only got one.
Okay.
And mine might be a little spicy because I know people really like this guy and he's super hot right now. But Cody Rhodes, he is on my honorable mention for worst. And I just don't feel like it's great. For me, it's the entrance music. Every time I hear it, it gets stuck in my head, and that's usually the sign of a good song. Oh, it gets stuck in your head.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I hate the song. and I hate having it stuck in my head. It's just a generic rock, whatever, and then everybody goes, "Whoa!" Like it's, I don't know. It feels a little gimmicky to me.
Here's the thing. I feel that, and there's s- a very similar reason why I have someone on my list. Actually, not even not very for that exact reason why I actually have someone on my top 5 list for that specific reason. It's not Cody Rhodes, but it's check those two boxes right there.
Okay, all right,
Yep. All right.
all right.
So I'll run through it. Yeah, like you said. Like I said, I was just watching I was just watching Royal Rumble. So I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. I don't like that one. So another one I don't like, X Factor.
I'm not sure I remember theirs.
They insert butt rock song here.
Okay.
I think at one point in time it was like a Uncle Cracker entrance song. It was, I mean, they're
That
not great. I mean, it was X Pac and Albert and Justin Credible. So I mean, three people that if they're not in a faction, they're not in the WWE
yeah,
regardless.
yeah, that's fair. Yep.
So it was just I don't know, just just cheap like just a butt rock, just a lousy like it sounded like if you were gonna go to a create a wrestler store, um, their entrance song is on clearance, and you purchase that one.
So, in any of the early WWE wrestling games, this was the generic entrance music that you could pick.
Yep. When it says default, that's their song. It's like here you
Gotcha.
go. Here's your song.
I know exactly what you mean.
When you're creating your character, here's the default song that you can have with just while you're building your rep. So yeah. Um, Next one on my list, Ted DiBiase.
Ooh, the $1 million man.
Ooh, $1 million Man going way back, but just that this start to shut up, dude. Shut up.
Okay.
Yeah, and then a lousy, and then just like a lousy like 80s song playing while he's like, everybody's got their price. Money, and well, I don't even think it was a song. It was like four people that they just found that could hold a reasonably good tune. I say, you just sing money, money, money.
Yeah, it didn't even have to be sung well.
Sing
Just
money, money, money. We're gonna put that on loop, and then we're just gonna funnel in his voice. Everybody's got their price, and yeah, like no, thank you. Here's the thing: I don't like you. Like I don't like. Did not like the character Ted
yeah,
DiBiase. I
I
did not
didn't
like the
either.
character.
No.
I thought he was a very talented. I thought he was a good wrestler, and he was and he was, a rich, arrogant prick, which the Ted DiBiase character was supposed to be. So the
Yep.
music and everything fit his character. I just like it kind of thing with Test. Didn't like him, don't like your entrance.
It's fair.
So so next honorable mention I have Kelly Kelly.
I
First
don't
off, you
know.
have
I don't know Kelly Kelly's.
two first names. Kelly Kelly. Like, are you stuttering? Like, you're supposed to have not two first names. So but where kind of X Factor is like the butt rock song. Kelly
Hmm.
Kelly is the bubblegum pop song, and then just not pointing at anything and just pointing, just let's point at things. Like we're like okay, like if you're what like you're swatting flies or something.
She walking down the way and like playing I Spy.
Yeah, I just pointing, looking for the three signs that people made of Kelly Kelly. Like I don't wasn't a fan. And my barrel it and my last honorable mention almost made the list. Was actually on the list for quite a while. Um was actually my number three for quite a while. Um, Gold Dust.
Ooh, I liked his though.
I,
I
I very,
give me a reasoning. Like go
very
hit me with it.
super theatric, which is the Gold Dust thing, right?
Yeah.
He was very much, I don't know, like, try like a movie star, shattered dreams, all this gold stuff, like, but yeah, like just super theatric, like the lousy, like gold, like I, to me, I thought Gold Dust was like a 70s porn, like
Okay.
just the music and the way that it was, like the footage and the way that it was filmed and just like the lousy filters that they put on there. And his when his entrance came out, and this is way back before it was streaming, so you either watched it or you didn't. um when he came out, I knew I had about 45 minutes, so I could go. Raw was an hour show. 45 minutes of the show was Gold Dust's entrance. So I know,
Okay.
what? I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'm probably gonna run to the store for a minute. I can have a snack, and then come back, and maybe, just maybe, Gold Dust is in the ring, and we're just about ready to start.
Okay, yeah. See, I liked his because it fit his character so well. Like
It did.
it was like Gold Dust was this like dramatic, like Hollywood type, character, and I felt like it fit the character good. I didn't feel like the music was terrible. They changed up the camera cinematic and everything when it came on, and everything was gold and black. I thought it fit him really, really well.
Well, and see, and that's why Gold Dust and Ted DiBiase are not on my top five list, because the entrance fit the character for sure. However, it just has to be it's just a terrible entrance. So if it was like, if Gold Dust was coming out to like a Kane entrance, I'm like, God, this is garbage. This is number one worst entrance ever, because none of these things are working together. But since it did fit his character, and I didn't like the character, and I don't like the entrance, it's only an honorable mention.
I gotcha. So that the character saved him from the worst list.
Yeah, like if it didn't fit the character, then he would be on the list, and that's actually my number five, because I like the
Yeah.
character. I like the character at number five, but the entrance didn't fit. But that's my my honorable mention list. We can start at your number five.
All right. My number five is gonna probably be spicy. Um, I know a lot of people love this entrance, but I
Spicier than your Cody
didn't.
Rhodes honorable mention.
Oh yeah, easily,
Ooh.
easily. My number five is the Undertaker on the motorcycle.
Uh, that,
It starts
that's
out
here's a, it's
dead man
spicy.
walking, and then the motorcycle, and then you've got to take like 4 trips around the ring, and then you have to sit there and rev it for another 5 minutes. I growing up with the Undertaker and like how theatrical and everything the early Undertaker was, I feel like this was a complete departure from the Undertaker that I loved as a kid and as I grew up and I was watching wrestling and I loved it, and it was so far of a departure. Like this was very personal to me. Like, and it kind of ruined the Undertaker character for me.
I can hear your heart breaking, actually, as you talk about it.
Yeah, so I
But
know
I think
people loved it. They loved the dead man walking and the iterations of Limp Bizkit and all the other songs that came through, but I don't know. It ruined the Undertaker character for me. at that point. He was no longer the dead man. He was the American badass.
Yeah. I think I think it's a spicy pick. It's not ghost pepper spicy, but I mean you're probably, at least a jalapeno for sure. And and I get you because I grew up with I mean, when I first saw Taker, I was like, man, like hated Paul Bearer. And I wished
I know
uh
how much you hated Paul Bearer.
I wish he would never talk. Like make the scary dude talk. Why are you talking? Ugh, why are you talking in that high shrilled voice? Um, and I know that was his character, Paul Bearer, and God rest his soul. Um, yeah, when the Undertaker came out, like you, you got cold, you felt
Yeah.
death was death is here. There's death here, right? There's death here. Um, but my kind of my my counterpoint to why you have him on the list is like the Taker character had gone through so many things. There was nothing else for the Taker, the Undertaker character to do, right?
Sure.
I mean, he was the Undertaker character, probably arguably the best gimmick of all time,
I
or
wouldn't.
one of.
I would say it's. I would put him in my top five for sure.
He's one of the best gimmicks of all time. But he's hit, but you look at the Taker, and the streak and all these other things. It's like you can only do so much with the an Undertaker character, right? Because he has to fit a certain thing, and you couldn't do what you couldn't carry the Undertaker as the Undertaker anymore. So he needed to evolve to the Dead Man and the American Badass. But I agree with you. And I think maybe part of where the motorcycle came in is because that dude's body is just wrecked.
I mean that's
Like
fair.
it's just wrecked and he just walking down the ramp might have been just too much, you would get to the point even where, you could see that he's not the Taker anymore. Even doing the what is it, the old time, old
Yeah.
school.
Old school.
You could just yeah, just do an old school. You're like, you know what? So I think that um that just kind of took it away, and that just showed that, you know, he's he's not the Taker anymore, you know? He's just that dude's a legend, and he probably should have hung it up, you know, 5 years ago before that character even existed, the Dead Man existed. And if you ever
But
watch his documentary, he says I should have hung it up a long time ago, but I couldn't give it up.
yeah, well, I mean that's happened to a lot of people, right? Who
Yeah.
probably stick around way
But I
longer
feel
than they
this,
should.
yeah. And something that's not on my RO mention, but it is now. Um, I think you mentioned it in one of our conversations earlier. The Stone Cold entrance
Yeah.
on the quad.
Yeah, and so yeah, this is like I don't like vehicle entrances to begin with. I think they're tacky. I think it was, how Stone Cold did the quad for a long time, and I'm just gonna drive the quad around the ring five or
You're
six times, and then I'm gonna
you're
rev the
not gonna
engine, and then I'm gonna jump. Yeah, like no, like don't you don't need to do that.
you're not gonna like my best RO mentions then if you don't like vehicle entrances.
I mean, there's a few. I mean, Stone Cold with the beer truck, awesome.
Yeah, but I think the quad entrance too, kind of like with what you said about the Undertaker on the motorcycle. It took away from the Stone Cold character, right?
Yeah,
Like
like
when you hear that glass break, and he just walks down like a just a pick, like he's
he,
pissed off and he's gonna go pick up a fight
yeah, he had
or
that
pick
swagger,
a fight.
you
I
know,
was like,
like
here's
that.
that dude is. You're like, oh yeah. When the glass breaks and he starts walking down, you're like, ooh, it's about to get real.
Yeah, he
But then
just
when the
he had
glass
that
breaks and some dude rolls out on and he had changed the whole look. Like he now he's like wearing
like
camo.
yeah, yeah. It was he didn't have the vest. It was different.
And it's like, you know what? This dude's gonna go hunting. Like that dude's driving down fast just to go because he wants to get the good fishing spot. It just it took away from the character.
Yeah. All right, hit me with your number five.
My number five, little spicy, Randy Orton.
Okay,
But
okay,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. Early 2000 Randy Orton. And if you look at any interview with Randy Orton and he talks about his first entrances, he's like, I hated that. I hated the music. I I hated the music. And so if the character doesn't even like his music, how am I supposed to like his entrance and his music? But I'm specifically talking about the it's the Fire Burns. It's like a Kill Switch Engage song
okay.
that used to be a CM Punk entrance music song
It's just
or entrance
recycled.
music,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
which would fit a CM Punk type of character, because he's a
yeah.
little more grungy and stuff like that. Does not fit kind of a clean cut, you know, Randy Orton. You can't have this grungy song fitting coming out with this clean cut dude coming out to this grungy metal song. Just doesn't it doesn't those two things don't work. And that's why so that's why, Gold Dust and Ted DiBiase are honorable mentions and Randy Orton is on the actual list.
Gotcha.
The music
It,
doesn't
it, it
fit the
just
character.
didn't fit. I gotcha.
No. No. It's like when you create a character and you can't actually hear the music. You have the volume down really low because you don't want to wake your parents up because you're not supposed to be playing video games at 2 o'clock in the morning. And you didn't hear the song, and then when you play your created character Saturday morning, because now you can actually play the game, you're like, ugh, this song is terrible for my character.
I didn't want this one.
Ugh, what is this?
Yeah. Okay.
Gonna have
Okay. I, I
gonna
I I can buy that.
Okay, there you go. Number four.
Number four. Um. Also probably gonna be a little spicy. I think. Ric Flair. Number four. Worst.
I I can agree with that one. It is spicy because it's Ric Flair, he's
Yeah.
this icon, right? 6-time champion, right? But
Yeah, like so it's nothing against Flair or the character or anything like that. Like Flair is an icon of the sport. Like everybody will agree he's going to be on, a top 5 all-time list for pretty much everybody.
yeah.
The business doesn't exist if it's not for Flair.
They're gonna be talking
But
about Ric Flair 20 years from now.
yeah, but how he got away with such a dog shit entrance for his entire career, I don't know. It
It's Ric
was
Flair.
it was the music never changed, which is great for him,
Uh huh.
but I don't like it for the exact same reason you don't like Gold Dust. It takes 8 years for him to just casually walk to the ring. He's going to talk a little trash to the fans. Heaven forbid that Arn Anderson or the Four Horsemen are with him, because then they're going to walk around and throw up the four fingers for the Four Horsemen
Yep.
for another 20 minutes before, the entrance is over. Like that's all it was. It was, I mean, the song is epic. It's very, everybody knows the music, but it's boring.
Yep. Yeah. I agree with that one. I mean, for you know, Ric Flair, even just the last name Flair in wrestling is a gold standard name, right?
Yes. Yep.
Like, but and honestly, I kind of feel the same way about Charlotte Flair's entrance. Kind of, here's everything, here's me, look how great I am, blah blah blah. I'm gonna take forever. I'm gonna make you all worship me as I walk down. Fits the character, but come on, dude. Like, let's get the show on the road. That's why, people like Steve Austin, they music hits, they're in the ring.
Yeah.
It's almost like Flair's like, I'm on a stroll because I don't actually want to get into the ring and fight. You know.
Yeah. I've done this before. You guys are lucky to get to see Ric Flair.
Yep. You look. The longer I take, the more you're getting your money's worth. So you're welcome.
I'm gonna stand
So,
here with my arms out in my sparkly robe so everybody can admire who I am.
mhm. I will give him though credit. He did kind of start the flashy robe kind of trend.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, he was fabulous.
yeah, nobody was wearing those fancy robes until Ric Flair did. Like, he was kind of the trailblazer for that. But still, get in and get it done, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, who's number 4 on your list?
Uh, might be spicy, especially if you've heard, me, if you were listening to the previous episodes when we were talking about jujitsu. I absolutely love all all characters were Mick that were that came out of Mick Foley. However, the the debut of Mankind, ugh, knowing what, and this is a nostalgic thing, right?
Yeah.
Knowing what I'm talking boiler room Mankind with the leather mask and kind of the tattered like
Yep.
brown
Yep.
outfit,
Uh-huh.
not the not the have a nice day Mankind,
Nope,
you
not
know, the
Sacco and all of that.
not Mr. Sacco and the sweatpants and the button-up shirt with the tie, not that Mankind, the the Muppet kind is what he was.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, the music fit the character, but Mankind wasn't, but the character didn't fit the person. And it was just, it, it was making Mankind be something that he wasn't. It was something that Mick Foley wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think that you could almost tell that I think he hated that original Mankind character. I think he was just happy to be in the WWE. And if you've
Yeah.
read his book if you've read his book and if you've watched any documentaries, he's like, you know what? He even says when Edge and him had their kind of um rivalry for it was which was just kind of like a storyline to really put Edge over.
Yeah.
Edge and Mankind or Mick Foley talks about this. Um he's like, when Edge called me a Muppet, I really took it to heart because I, for a long time in my career, was. He's like, the original Mankind was a Muppet. Everybody was pulling the strings but me. And so that's why I don't like the entrance, it's just dark, red flashing light, you know, Mankind kind of dragging his leg. He's Quasimodo, is who he is.
That's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So he's Quasimodo, and they just named him Mankind, and like go out there and do your thing. Like I don't, I'm so glad that the Mankind character kind of evolved into what that we kind of think of, that we remember, and what he ended up being than staying at this Mankind thing. Because even if he stayed at Mankind, he wouldn't be on my list right now because I would have forgot about him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But but yeah, but that early Mankind entrance was
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was not
it
good.
was it was bad. It was bad. I can't remember if there's any music. If it was like a
It was very
some kid.
sad, like emo-y, like
Yeah,
yeah. It
there
was.
might. I think there was a. I think there was like a kid in the background just like hitting one thing on a xylophone. It was just. It was bad.
Yeah, it wasn't good. And when I saw Mankind, and the first thing I thought was the newer "Have a Nice Day," Mr. Sacco. I'm like, no, he was great. That
Yep.
his entrance was great then, but
Yep.
then I forgot about the introduction to Mankind and how terrible it was.
Yeah. The Mankind debut was not great.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with everything you said, and I am happy that it worked out for Mick Foley, and he was able to get over with Mankind and kind of make the character, what he wanted it to be, and he stopped being a
Yep.
Muppet.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right,
You
number
number.
three.
Did we
We're
do your number four?
yeah, my four was Flair.
All right. Yeah. Number three.
Number three, we're getting halfway through the lists. My number three is the Brood.
I. Yep.
Edge, Christian, Gangrel, the whole. It was like the end. It was like kind of the introduction of those three,
Yep.
and Twilight and all of the vampire stuff was very popular, and I just thought it was a terrible gimmick.
And
Uh,
again, and I have no arguments with the Brood on that list. Actually, my agreement is why that's why Mankind was number four. Like that was such something that Edge and Christian are not.
yeah, and
Edge,
well, it,
they're not
and
vampires and they're not followers.
well, and like after the Brood was kind of no longer a thing, and Gangrel went away, it was still Edge and Christian,
Yep.
but they got rid of the whole like vampire thing, and then like the crowd loved him. They were great. They're
They jumped on to kind of like the Hardy Boys, more kind of like, I don't know, punkish type of thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, they were excellent in the ring. They
Oh
could
my god, yeah.
they could wrestle. They were phenomenal wrestlers. And I felt like the Brood really kind of held them back in the ring because they had to play these like vampire characters, and there was always the
Mhm.
gimmick of spitting blood, um, and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
But the
It was
the end the entrance specifically
yep.
took another. I think you and I just both don't like long entrances.
No, get to the point.
um, their entrance took forever, and the first 5 minutes was the trap door lighting on fire, and it took them 5 minutes for the trap door to lower up, through the floor. And you have Gangrel standing in the back with the chalice of blood
Yep.
with his tongue hanging out, and then Christian and Edge just trying to look intimidating. And it was like this weird kind of like bassy tambourine like loop that
Hmm.
it just didn't sound good. And then yeah, the walk to the ring, like, and it was a half-assed vampire gimmick too. Like they
Hmm.
didn't they didn't have like the stoic kind of like vampire thing. It was
They wore pirate shirts. Let's be
yeah,
honest.
like I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Give him an eye patch, and puts some pirate shanties behind him, I think you
That
maybe
would that
have an amazing gimmick right there.
Oh
And
my god, if they would have came out to like with eye patches on and the Wellerman playing, oh my god,
mhm.
that would be one of my favorite factions of all time. The
And
mateys, her.
yeah, I mean, and it's high energy. It fits, how they wrestle and everything. It just nothing fit with the Brood. The entrance wasn't great. The music wasn't great, and it took forever. And just the vampire thing was overplayed, and it was forced. It
The
just
only yeah,
it
the
didn't
only
fit and didn't work.
the only character in that faction that it fit was Gangrel.
Yes,
It did
and
not fit Christian. It did not fit Edge.
and Gangrel was a mid Carter at best. At
Gangrel,
best.
much like X Factor, Gangrel without a faction is wrestling independence,
Oh, I
or
think
show
he's a
or
jobber.
showing or
Jobber,
showing
100%.
or he's like a 15 number 15, 16, 17 entrance in the Royal Rumble. Like, oh yeah, I remember that guy. Something that you're not going to get super excited about and not be super sad when they get eliminated from the Rumble, but a body that's going to be in there to create some chaos and then get eliminated, right?
Yep.
That's that's kind of where Gangrel would have fell into his WWE career
Well, and I
without
think
without the Brood. And then
I'm pretty sure that's where his career went as soon as the Brood was gone. Like I think he was let go and really didn't
yeah,
do much after that.
no, he didn't do much. I think he was with Lita for a minute. I think he brought Lita in, and then Lita left for the Hardy Boys, and then Gangrel was gone.
Yeah,
And I
like
might just be making that up, but that's what I feel that sounds legit.
I will
It
believe
makes
you because I honestly don't remember.
no,
I remember
I
him as
am
part of the Brood and hating the Brood and all of everything about him. And then as soon as it was gone, Edge and Christian were great, and then he was just gone.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I am 18% sure that Gangrel and Lita were like a thing.
All right, we'll have to fact check that, and we'll have an answer for next week.
Yep. Yep. Pretty sure.
All right, who you got
Um,
number three?
my this might be this is my spicy choice for my worst. Um, Seth Rollins,
Okay, and you're talking current
current
Seth
Seth Rollins,
Rollins,
Seth freaking
freaking
Rollins,
Rollins.
Seth freaking Rollins is, and check all the boxes why you don't like Cody Rhodes. That's why I don't like Seth Rollins.
Okay,
The entrance, not the actual.
sure.
I think he's a phenomenal wrestler, but the entrance, like burn it down, lousy music. Oh, are we at a soccer match? What are we watching?
Oh, the fans love it though. Like,
They do, they do, and I don't know why. Like, and maybe, and I haven't been. It's been a long, long time since I've been to a live event. Maybe in the moment, the environment, maybe the actual alive and like. I love baseball. I hate watching it on TV, but at the ballpark, oh, I could be there for days. Maybe that's kind of one of maybe this is one of those things where watching it on TV, it's not catching me enough to watch what happens. Like I can go and do my own thing and then come back when the match starts, right?
yeah,
Which
yeah,
luckily
okay.
it's a fairly quick entrance, but yeah, I'm just like I don't know, cool, cool.
Cool, you're Seth freaking Rollins.
But if I'm in a stadium with 50,000 people around me and they're all going, oh, you know what? I'm probably gonna get caught up
Yeah, and you're gonna have a great time, right?
and I'll have a great time. I'm like, you know what? But when I go and talk about it the next day, I'm not going to talk about, oh yeah, the Seth Rollins entrance, dude, one of the best parts of the night.
That's
So yeah,
I mean that's fair.
yeah. So yeah, number two.
Number two, ours are very similar, for very similar reasons. Um, my number two is Bastion Booger.
Okay.
Um, his entrance music was farting. That's all it
Aw-
was.
Awesome.
It was just like farting on a loop, and like
That's
the guy
that's.
was like he was a turd. Like that was his character.
I don't know if they know, but that's not a song.
Yeah, like it was just yeah, it was
I know they
horrible. Like
called.
I want to know who thought this was a good idea. Like I'm gonna get a gross bald dude and have him walk down and be a human fart.
Well, you know they say beans, beans, the musical fruit. The more you eat, the more you chew. I mean, maybe that's where like, oh, you know what? We can turn farts into songs. There you go. There you go, guy. There's your song.
Yeah, well, I mean, and this was in the weird in between, like golden age to attitude era transition where kind of the product wasn't very good. So I know they were trying to do the best with what they had, but man, this was one of the worst.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not very. I mean, I think thank you, Google. Thank you, Google, for. I did watch it
Yeah,
prior to obviously for us coming on, but same thing. I'm like, yeah, that's just farts. Like, is that just farts?
yeah, that's
Like,
all it is. Just farts.
did they just put my microphone to someone's butt and okay, do your thing? Like, were there cuts for that? Like, no, dude, we want farts, not sharts. Like, it's too liquidy. We need very dry sounding. Go eat some grains. Stay away from refrieds. We need very dry farts right now.
Yeah, like it's just all around bad. Just there's no redeeming qualities. I think about the character, about the entrance. Like it was just terrible all over.
I feel you. I feel you.
All right, number two for you.
Number two, Toilet Man, TL Hopper. Which were yours was they should have been a tag team
Yeah, that might have actually
where
worked.
your guy was just a fart, my guy was just a toilet flushing. Like, that's not an entrance. That's not a song. That's a sound.
Yeah, it's yeah, his is equally bad.
It's like, hey, what does Windows 95 sound? What sounds are just included with Windows 95? Well, there's a flushing noise. Cool, that's your entrance. Awesome.
Yep,
I guess I'm gonna be a plumber.
we're gonna give you a plunger, and there you go.
Cool. There you go. You're gonna have what people will be talking about you years from now. And here we are. Maybe not for the right reasons people will be talking about
No,
you,
30
but
years later, here we are. Like you have one of the
we will
worst
be here.
entrances in wrestling history, sir.
Hey, you got to be iconic for something.
Hey, he made it. He made it to the show.
He did. Look, he is on a international podcast.
Yeah, here you go. I mean, just who would have thought, right? TL
Yeah.
Hopper getting all this publicity 30 years later.
Are we sure he's not Gangrel? I mean, like, I'm pretty sure T.L. Hopper is Gangrel's dad.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
I mean, if you look at a picture of him, that's Gangrel's dad. Or they're related somehow.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Sorry, I just saw a picture of him. That's why I said that.
Yeah, like he's the resemblance is
But
uncanny.
but again, it's the beach blonde, long hair, slicked back.
That was the look.
Hey, Hulk Hogan did that look. I'm gonna do that look.
Except Hulk Hogan couldn't have the slick back. There was there was not so much there to do.
He could have the drop down, like he could have the slick down. That's all he could do. But you slick back so it makes it looks like you have the cul-de-sac on the top of your head. But
All right, we're to our number ones for worst.
Number one's for worst. Take it away.
My number one worst entrance, right to censor.
Agreed.
Um, their entrance music was just a blaring siren, and that's it. Apparently,
Yep.
there's like a funky bass line under it somewhere, but all I can hear is the siren. And there's nothing redeeming about their entrance. It's this god awful siren playing for 4 or 5 minutes as they just casually walk to the ring.
Mm-hmm.
See, and I love the idea of right to censor and why they did it because this was kind of like peak attitude era when all these censorship groups were like, "Oh, wrestling's too lewd, it's too much," and all that. So like this group was formed as kind of a like a satire of all of these, activists trying to censor, WWE Raw.
Well,
Um,
yeah, and they brought in too. I mean, if you look at it, they brought in the Godfather,
yeah,
right?
was the Godfather? It was Val Venus.
Yep, Val Venus. It's like look at all these people that used to be these lewd, thrass people, and
Yep.
we got a former, a former pimp and a former porn star, and now look, you know, and they're basically, if you look, they're basically just Mormon missionaries.
Yeah, I mean, they less sleeves,
Well,
but
sans the seal. I mean, what the look is. I mean, you got to take a little bit of liberties, right?
yeah, I
With,
mean, for sure.
but yeah, it's how uptight can we make them look?
But great gimmick. I thought the gimmick was great. I like the whole reason why they did it. I thought all that was great. But man, that entrance was garbage. It
Yeah,
was so
they
bad. I debated putting Bastion Booger number one, but I can't overwrite to censor.
no, no, yeah. And if you look, at a majority of the lists that are similar to ours, not as good, but
A close second.
a close second or fifth or whatever. I mean, they're in the ballpark of goodness, but I mean, come on. You don't get any better. You don't get better than the Rollin heavy lists.
It's true. It's true.
Uh, um, but yeah, it's right to censor is at the top of most of them.
All right. Number one for you.
My number one, I'm going to pose a question first. What's your favorite noise to hear when you go to the dentist office?
Oh, it's got to be the drill, right?
Yeah. So let's make that someone's entrance music. Good old Dr. Isaac Yankum, number one.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
And here's that with one of our criteria being a non-jobber. Um, I was really splitting hairs by putting Dr. Isaac Yankum on there because Dr. Isaac Yankum was a flash in the pan and went on to bigger and better things.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you call the big red machine bigger and better,
The later gimmick was much better,
yeah,
elevated by maybe one of the greatest ever.
yeah. I mean, like, but yeah, the Dr. Isaac Yankum character was the character was terrible. B, that just I'm like,
And
you know what?
I'm pretty sure there were screams
There
like
were,
in it,
there
and
were.
yeah, it wasn't good.
No, like it was so annoying that if I had had a bad day, I'm not watching the rest of the show. Like I'm done. Maybe I'll do something better with my time, but I hated it. I hated it. Hate, hate is a strong word, but
It is a strong word, but I think in this case it fits.
there is not one good thing I can say about the Dr. Isaac Yankum character or the entrance. Not one. There are no redeeming qualities in that in in that little gimmick entrance thing.
Nope, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's trash.
All right, let's put the bad ones behind us. Let's get to some feel goods.
Let's get to the feel ones.
Let's
Yes.
get to some feel goods.
Yep.
I've got a couple of honorable mentions. You've got a couple of honorable mentions. Let's try to cut it down to maybe two. You've I see
Ugh.
you've got a list of like 20. You could have
Two.
done. I'm
I
gonna
could.
need
I
you.
could. I could have do two. I could have done top 10 list.
I could have too, but that's the hard part. We
Okay.
gotta trim it down to the best of the best.
Okay. I will give you. I will give you. I will there. I'll do three off of my honorable mention list.
Okay, okay.
My list of
I know one. There's one I'm really surprised it's not on your actual list.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's
I'm the,
oh, you didn't know? Yo
oh,
ass better
that's
call somebody.
okay. See, there. Thank you for opening it up. I still get to provide three more. But yeah, the new age outlaws, dude. Oh, it's such a good entrance. So good. But it couldn't. I had to knock it down to like if I could do a top 10, what actually absolutely they're probably gonna fall in seven or eight.
Okay, okay.
but yeah, but yeah, I love I love the New Age Outlaws as a tag team. Um, I love the Road Dog. Uh, badass Billy Gunn. Not so much, but
That's Mr.
lo-
Ass.
Mr. Ass. Yeah. Well, and then when they kind of broke up and they made, I almost put Mr. Ass as one of my worst. I did not.
Okay, yeah, okay.
His singles entrance was terrible. But yeah. Oh, you didn't know? Ah, that yeah. I love. Yep. 100% loved it. Well, loved it ish. Loved it enough to write it down. Loved it enough to write it down, but not put a number in front of it.
Gotcha. I gotcha. I stole that one from you, so give me one on your list.
Um, Al Snow.
Okay. Wow, you're gonna put Al Snow over the New Age Outlaws?
No, they're honorable mention.
Okay.
So this is Al Snow, but not the head Al Snow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where I was like, I don't like people just chanting things unless it's Al Snow yelling, "Anybody want some head, 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 head?" And it comes out with the head, and the head just says head on it. I actually love the character. I love the gimmick. I love the whole thing. I love that whole Al Snow. Loved it all, but not enough
Yeah.
to put a number in front of it.
Okay. Um, first one on my honorable mention list, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah,
Uh, one of the newer superstars. But I mean, his entrance is awesome. Just the music, and he's super theatrical and all of that. It's very the New Japan Wrestling, which is where he came from. Um, I love it. I think it's awesome.
yep. No, yeah, I didn't. I don't know. I actually haven't actually seen him in action before, but I did see his entrance. I agree. He does have a pretty a pretty stellar entrance for sure.
Yeah, and he's pretty good in the ring. I just watched him and Cody on Raw. It was like the second Raw of the year. It was a pretty decent
Nice.
match.
Yeah.
They worked out pretty well together.
Nice. Nice. I'll have to watch when I get to the Raws. I will. Hopefully, he'll show up in a couple of them, and I can get to know a little bit more about him.
All right, give me one more. Hit me one more.
Oh, one more, dude. You're coming off at the knees right there. Um, I will. Since you hate, since you hate, Vehicle
Vehicle
entrances.
entrances.
Latino Heat. Eddie Guerrero.
Ah, I knew it. I know you loved that one.
Yep. Yep, I did. I just, you know, good performer, just a good performer, just a um good entrance, one of the guys that, obviously wrestling is a tough business. That's, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah, you know, demons got to him, you know, quicker than they should have, if ever. So, but yeah, the Latino Heat, man, I liked the Latino Heat entrance. I liked it.
That's fair. I could never get behind Eddie Guerrero. Like I couldn't. Like he like at the top of his like at his peak he was top superstar, main card, main event type guy. And he was phenomenal in the ring. Like no
Yep.
knock against his wrestling ability or anything. Like I just could not get into the character of Latino Heat. Like I
No,
couldn't. I couldn't.
interesting.
So that might be one of the reasons why the whole like lowrider entrance and everything it didn't hit the same for me.
I get you. I get you. No, I feel you. But I had, you know, like the garage full of lowriders, so that's why I liked it so much.
What garage was that?
My Hot Wheels garage, thank you.
Okay, okay. I was like,
Yep.
All right,
I
my
know, I know.
last.
I just like the cars, and I have a lot of respect for those, like the lowrider um culture,
Yeah,
and
for sure,
just
for sure.
just how much it goes into it. And I thought the Eddie Guerrero character was just cocky enough to be the love to hate you face. Like, you love
Sure.
to hate that guy, but he's a face, man.
Yeah, I mean he was a face for sure. He was a Healy face, but I would say he was a face for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
All
All
right,
right, your number five.
my last honorable mention.
Oh, honorable mention. Here we go.
Yes, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, like it just I loved the character. Like I don't know, like Hacksaw just always struck a chord with me. Um, and it was great when
yeah.
it came out and he's got the 2x4, the thumbs up, and the entire crowd chanting "Ho!" Like even though he wasn't the greatest wrestler, he was never like a top tier superstar guy, but everybody loved him,
No.
and it
Yeah.
was fun and I got behind it. I bought into it. I loved it. Every time I would see him in the ring, like I would always watch all of his matches because I was entertained.
Yeah, I argue. I remember watching wrestling in the 80s, Saturday night wrestling and stuff like that. I remember I would argue that Hacksaw is to what is the 80s version of Mankind outside of or Mick Foley outside of the hardcore stuff, right?
Yeah,
Hack
I guess.
Hacksaw was a guy that was popular enough that being in a match with him and beating him could give you could put you over just enough to take that next step.
Yeah, like he was never like he wasn't a guy that was going to put you over, like put you over, but he was kind of like the stepping stone guy. Like he
He's
was
solid.
that
All right.
solid mid card,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like high end mid card dude that if you beat Hacksaw and you had a good match with Hacksaw, you're gonna go, you have a chance. Like there's something
Yep.
more is coming. Um,
Hacksaw's kind of the mid. I say mid. If you enter the Royal Rumble, let's say between 11 to 17, you're one of those mid card guys, right?
right.
I would put he was probably a 11 to 17 entrance in a Royal Rumble. You're excited to see him. Oh, because at that point, the match has been going on for like 40 minutes, and you're like, ugh, we need someone to really get the people back into it. Oh, yeah, Hacksaw had that.
He did 100%. And so that's a nostalgia one for me. I had to put him on the list because he was
That's a good choice. That's a really good choice.
all right. Hit me with your number five.
Okay, here we go. Here's mine. Super nostalgic. People are gonna be like, "Who? What?
I know when I
Why?"
saw it for the first time, I was like, huh?
The oddities.
Okay. So I went back and I watched it, but tell me why the oddities are so good they are on your top five list.
Who sings their well sing might be a loose term, but who's the artist on their entrance song?
It is the Insane Clown Posse.
I was such a juggalo. I was such a juggalo in that during that time. I loved any ICP could do no wrong for me. I ICB could do no wrong. I had all the albums up until that point. I think maybe um Ringmaster had just come out.
Okay. One of their
Um
best, by the way.
yeah, absolutely one of their best. And yeah, I think it was either Ringmaster had come out, maybe um what is it?
Was it Great
Back
Malenko?
maybe Great Malenko. Yeah, I think Great Malenko, which again, really good, really good. I just, you know, for some reason I felt connected to the oddities. I just, you know what?
That's fair.
These guys are, you know, I'm not the shiniest crayon in the box. And I feel you. Like I feel these guys. Like these guys are hitting a little bit different for me. I like them. And they just had fun. They
Yeah, yeah.
just they just had so much, and I'm like, I love you guys. I love you. I love your song. I love everything you're about. Boom, you're number five.
Well, I mean, and I had to I went back and watched it because I'm like, who the heck are the oddities?
Uh-huh.
And then I went back and watched it, and then the second that music hit, I'm like, okay, I know exactly why these guys are on the list. And
Yep.
then watching the crowd, like the crowd's got their hands going back and forth, and the crowd's having a good time. Like the crowd had fun, they were having fun in the ring. Like it was a fun gimmick.
Yep.
I won't say it was a great gimmick, but it was a fun gimmick that the crowd got behind. Um, yeah, as soon as I
Here's
saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it.
yeah. The oddities were a great gimmick for the time that they were in, right?
Yeah,
Like, well, fun, like and
fun.
acceptable.
Yes,
Like, there's
yes.
you could not do the oddities today.
I don't know. No way. No way.
I don't think that you could get away with the oddities today. Just
I agree.
and, and and
I
here's
agree.
it was probably offensive back in the 90s, but you know, but they weren't ultimately if you look at in my opinion, if you look at what the oddities were, they were like just accept yourself for being you. And honestly, that's kind of what everybody gives ICP a bad rap, right?
Right,
Listen to the
right.
actual music. Listen to the actual song, right? Just because they're called the Insane Clown Posse and they have the Hatchet Man and whatever. Listen to the actual music. They're like, they're basically singing, "Don't be a dick to people," and kind of maybe just accept yourself for who you are.
Yeah. I mean, sure, they've got the, horror, my axe is my buddy.
Yeah, I mean,
That
there are
that
some
kind of
songs.
stuff. But, like the core of their message was, accept yourself. We're a family. We're all a little bit weird, and that's
Don't be a
okay.
loser. Yeah, don't. Hey, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't hit your kids and wife.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot more to the music than just guys painted up in clown face masks and singing about horrorcore stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't call it. great music, but for what it is, I mean, it it delivers a message if you
Sure.
listen to it.
If you take if you take the time,
If you hear it, you're gonna hear, you know, Insane Clown Posse and their music is terrible. If you take the time and listen to it and actually look at what the oddities are, you know, it there's a message there.
for sure, for sure.
All
We
right.
got a lot deeper
Did
emotionally than I thought we would on something
we did
like
I
this.
told you. I
You
told
know?
you that was my, nostalgia triggers emotion, right?
Yeah.
There, and that's it. There's another nostalgic pick, which is on which triggers memories and emotion for me too, but better more than
Well,
that. Like
yeah. We'll get
we'll get
there.
to that when we get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Um. So my number five, I couldn't knock one of these guys off the list, and enough to put them in as honorable mention. So I have two at my number five spot.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I guess that's okay.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I felt they both had to be on my list, and
And you
um,
couldn't take one of the other four off?
nope.
Interesting.
I couldn't. I couldn't. So I have the Dudley Boys and the Wolf Pack. NWO Wolf Pack at my number five.
Well, at least you're kind of going like tag team faction
Yeah,
type of thing.
yeah, but like the Dudley Boys when the the rockets go off and then the explode, and then Devon and Bubba Ray come out and the crowd just goes nuts.
Yep. Probably one of my top five tag teams of all time.
Yeah, they are my number one tag team of all time. They are my favorite tag team of all time. I think they're the most decorated tag team of all time. Um,
Devon, get to tables.
yeah, like it's just I don't know. They're just there's an epicness about the Dudley Boys and how they came up through like the ECW and doing all of that kind of stuff. And
Yep.
yeah, like they just when those rockets hit, and I was like, oh, it's the Dudleys. Um,
And
I
you
mean,
knew somebody's getting hurt when the Dudley Boys are.
somebody's going through a table or somebody's
Uh
taking a
huh.
headbutt to the groin.
Yep.
Probably both.
Yep.
Yeah, like the 3D is my favorite tag team finisher of all time, um, especially if it's through a table.
Especially if it's through a table.
And I don't think it's truly a 3D if it's not through a table.
No, then it's just technically then it's just a diamond cutter.
Pretty two-man diamond cutter.
2-man diamond cutter. Yeah. Through a
Um,
table, 3D.
which we'll talk about when we get to best finishers
Yes, we will.
later on in the season.
Yes.
But then, I mean, the wolf pack. The
Yeah.
music, like when that wolf howl hit,
Yeah,
and
that
then
beat
you've got
beat
that beat,
guitar.
and oh yeah, like the Wolfpack music was great, and that was when the Wolfpack was at their height. Is when they released the very first wrestling music CD,
Okay. Yeah.
and
Yep.
I remember you and I bought it the day it came out because
Yep.
we wanted to have the Wolfpack theme to listen to whenever the hell we wanted.
Yep. I do. I do remember the wolf pack. Yeah.
And with you know
Which, by the way, one of my honorable mentions. Thank you very much. I think
you
I have it as NWO. I have
yeah.
NWO, but yeah, Wolfpack for sure. But yeah.
But I mean, and it was the height of Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and it was the Too Sweet, and
Yep.
yeah, and if it wasn't for like the Stone Cold storyline, like the Stone Cold Rock storyline going on in Raw, I think WWF loses the Monday Night Wars because of how big the NWO takeover was in WCW.
Yeah, I think that Stone Cold Rock saved WWE.
100%. That's a topic we're going to spend another hour talking about.
Yeah, I know.
but Wolfpack Dudley Boys number 5. I couldn't take either of them off, and I didn't feel right pulling anybody else off the rest of my list.
I I'll allow it.
All right, and our next list, I'll give you one more honorable mention.
That's okay. It's okay. I got a little out of control.
All right, hit me with your number 4.
My number 4. Coincidentally, Aversion is my number 4 on my worst list. But my number 4, Cactus Jack.
Okay, yeah.
Just the the car crash, and then the guitar, and then here comes Cactus Jack. You know what? I'm like, someone's going to be bleeding, probably Cactus Jack. Someone's going to be walking back up the ramp with thumbtacks in them. Most likely Cactus Jack. He was probably set on fire, and he was probably thrown 1, 2, or 3 tables and hit with a bunch of things. But you were going to watch. You were going to watch a car crash, and that's why his music started that way.
Yeah,
And
and
like I said, I love everything McFoley except the original Mankind.
but then I mean, like you had the bang bang,
The Bang
and
Bang, which here's the funny part. Do you know where the Bang Bang came from?
I don't.
B-52 Love Shack.
Okay.
That's where he got the Bang Bang from. He's like, yeah, I remember hearing that in a song one time. And I think he said he was listening to that like backstage or something. And then the Bang Bang just came out. Because in that song they go bang bang on the door, baby.
Yeah.
And then he was just like, I think he said that actually in one of his little like um vignettes or whatever. It's like bang bang on the door, and then they shorted it down just to bang bang, and that's where the bang bang came from, was the B-52 Love Shack song. So
Interesting.
there's there's your trivia for the night.
I got it. I didn't remember that one.
Yeah, just yeah, but the bang bang and you know sleep and his outfits are mostly always kind of the same thing, but it was just you knew what you were about to see when you heard that car crash. Like, ooh, and here's the thing. They have it on the wrestling game that I have on my Xbox.
Yep.
It's almost my I pick that song every time.
Okay, for your creative characters.
My creative character. Yep.
I like it. I like it. I'm with you. I love all things Mick Foley. Cactus Jack was kind of the character that he did in Japan with all the extreme wrestling and all of
Yeah,
that.
Terry Funk and the death
Yep.
matches and stuff like that. And the best um, is when he was gonna fight Triple H, and he came out as Mankind, and they were doing it kind of like their back and forth, to add a little fire to the storyline. And it's the Have a Nice Day, Mankind. And he's talking, talking, talking. He's like, you know what? He's like, I don't think Mankind is the right guy. Is gonna show up to the match. He's like, but I know somebody else that will. And he takes off the Mankind mask, and he takes off the the
Sweatpants
button
and
the button up shirt,
yeah.
and he's got the Cactus Jack shirt underneath. And Triple H sold that so much because just the look of fear on his face really. And I was just like, oh, wow, this is gonna be such a good match. And I obviously they showed the highlights in the documentary, and I'm like, that was a good match.
Yeah.
Just everything. And again, Mick Foley there to push people over, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the ultimate guy for the business.
Yep, the guy that loved the business so much that he would do anything he could,
Yep.
and not just for the business, but for the fans. Like I wish I would have been able to see Mick Foley, Mankind or Cactus
Any
Jack and
version.
Dude Love or Any version in live, I wish I would have been able to see them.
Yeah, me too. We never got that chance, unfortunately.
All right, Big D, you're number 4.
My number 4, and his name is John Cena.
Okay.
So I picked John Cena because of the criteria. Like he's got
I've
this
never I've never seen him.
so he has, and so there's a couple of them. It's not his, professor of thugonomics. It's the his name is John Cena, and then you get the trumpets, and then he comes out, and
Uh-huh.
the crowd's going crazy, and um, it's nuts. He's super high energy, and like it's got that lasting effect.
Got you.
Um, when you look it up after the show, and then as soon as you hear the trumpets and everything, you're like, "Oh, it's
I'm
gonna
sh-
instantly place everything for you." And he was
no, I'm
huge when I wasn't watching wrestling, but I
yeah,
still knew his entrance theme.
got you. No, I've seen his entrance thing. I'm just saying I've never seen him.
I gotcha.
Because I can't.
Has anybody seen him?
Has anybody seen John Cena?
I don't think so. That's why his entrance is so good.
Dude, that was that like that I had to pack a lunch to get to that one.
Yes, yes. It took me a minute. All right. Number 3. We're getting to the
Ah,
top here.
we are. Remember what we talked about the glass breaking and
Oh
someone
yeah.
walking down, someone walking down with a with just a kick ass out. You're about to get a beat down attitude. Stone Cold Steve Austin, number 3,
I'm
Texas Rattlesnake.
I'm surprised neither of us have him higher on our lists. Um
Here's the
he's
thing. He really went back and forth between 2 and 3 for me. But the reason why I have my number 2 is the nostalgia factor.
yeah, I
That's
know.
the only reason.
No, I agree. I And the reason we don't have identical lists is because we did our best to not double up.
Uh-huh.
Because I would definitely have Stone Cold on my list.
Yeah.
Probably above where I have the guy at my number 3. But yeah, his iconic. I think best entrance song like ever. The,
Best at
the
least of the probably of the Attitude Era for sure. Yeah.
the glass
Just
breaks, and then it fits.
just and the crowd went wild. Like it just
Yes.
everybody's like and you look at the time of his like all you saw in this Austin 316 and the Texas Rattlesnake and um you know that's the bottom line and and not only that, not only does he have a great entrance, probably some of the best catchphrases of all time.
Oh, easily.
Stomp a mud hole in you and walk it dry. And Austin 36 Austin 316 says I just whooped your ass.
Yeah, just he was the epitome of the Attitude Era. A
Yep.
100%. He defined what it was.
Yeah. And again, if you watch some of the documentaries, I'm a huge documentary person, obviously. Um, you watch some of those when they're talking about like the best ofs.
Yeah.
X Pac's actually on there. He's like, "Oh man, when Stone Cold was at his prime, he's like, I made a lot of money when Stone Cold was at his prime because we were selling out everywhere." He's like, "I made so much money because of Stone Cold." But
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, like he was the face. He was the heelish face that everybody loved.
He was. Well, it was Rage Against Vince.
Yep,
He
which
was
we're a big
against
fan
the
of.
establishment and all of that, and like everybody just you could feel that.
Yeah,
He's saying everything that you want to say to your shitty boss.
Yeah, he was the what Dusty Rhodes was when he was in the just the working man, right?
Yeah, right.
Just the dude that hates their boss and wishes you could just go up and punch your boss in the face.
And he did
Just
it.
the He was the everyday man. Yep. You know what? Your boss in the hospital, go to his hotel, go to his hospital room and hit him with his bedpan. It's really fine.
I forgot about that. Yeah, Stone Cold. He was the Attitude Generation, 100%.
Absolutely. Number three.
Mine is the flip side to the Stone Cold coin in The Rock.
Okay.
Not Rocky Maivia, The Rock.
No, The Rock. The smell.
Yep. If you smell what The Rock is cooking,
Yep. Yep.
he arguably at that time best on the mic ever. He cut
Oh
amazing
my God.
promos.
Absolutely.
Like I don't feel like Rock at his peak in the Attitude Era between The Rock and Austin feud. Nobody has ever been as good or will ever be as good as he was on the mic.
Oh God, no. I 100% agree with you. Like, and again with like catchphrases and just not, the people's elbow, the people's eyebrow, the
Yeah,
people's champ. I mean, just you could not get enough Rock. And even still, like with either two, Stone Cold, when he makes kind of like a cameo appearance, when The Rock makes a cameo appearance, that music hits, they people take note and like, oh, yes,
yeah.
it's
Well, and
almost
this,
like,
yeah, you hear that. If you smell, like it's the crowd goes nuts.
yep, yeah,
And yeah, and then he same thing with him. He's got that swag, walking
yep,
to the ring and all that. It's like I know I'm as good as I say I am.
yeah. So here's the thing. I'm backing up like all of those things that I have talked about or that I have told you I'm going to do. I will do those to you because I
Yep.
can. Wasn't he at the latest? Wasn't he just at the last WrestleMania
Yeah, there's
stuff?
a big storyline with him leading into WrestleMania with the bloodline and all kinds of stuff. I'm not that far into it yet. So I
Gotcha.
don't know, but he was at WrestleMania.
Well, the dude's still in like killer shape.
Oh yeah, he's more jacked now than he's ever been.
Yeah, the dude's a giant. Like he's as I used to say about Scott,
Scott Hall?
not Scott Hall,
Steiner?
Scott Skinner, the genetic freak. The
Yeah.
Rock is a genetic freak.
Yes, yes he is.
Uh-huh.
All right. We're getting up there. Number
Up there.
2.
Number two. Why don't you take number two and then I'll go. Why don't you take it number two?
Okay. Just
I,
it's I don't
we
want
have
to
to
do
go
a
back
bad.
down. We have to go back down to my number two on the worst list so we can flush it down.
Yeah,
And your
I
number
don't.
two so you can fart it out.
So,
Anyway, you know what I'm saying.
yes, my number 2 on best
That's the
is the Ultimate Warrior.
nice.
Um, he was like that first big high energy entrance, just going nuts, and the guy was a freak. Um, as soon as like that first beat of his entrance music hit, crowds went nuts,
Hmm.
and like his dead sprint to the ring and then shaking the ropes and everything. I know when you and I were play wrestling, we fought over who got to be the Ultimate Warrior.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We wanted to be the guy that runs to the ring and shakes the rope and is going crazy and is gorilla plushing everybody. Like, yeah, like he was the dude. Like,
And yeah. And look at the entrance is super short. I'm getting to it. Yeah.
yeah, I,
Yeah.
I'm in the ring. I'm sprinting to the ring, and yeah, just that. Yeah, I get goosebumps talking about it because it was one of the best
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Of all time. I mean,
of all time, all
just
all time.
like, yeah. character, gimmick, entrance, Ultimate Warrior is gonna be on all of those lists.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. He's if he's not my number one all time favorite, he is very close.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, number
My
two on
number
your
two,
list.
very similar to your number two. I think my number two is a modern day of your number two, and it only takes two words to know this dude. Who's next?
Oh yeah,
Dun,
and
dun, 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 dun. Fireworks, dude, in fire, boom, coming out, and then you hear the crowd, Goldberg, Goldberg, and you and I were at a WCW Nitro when that dude came out, and that place exploded.
yeah, I will never forget that night for my whole life.
No, like I've been, that was the loudest I have ever heard a stadium. And I was at the stadium. I was in the arena when John Stockton hit the three-pointer to send the Utah Jazz to their first NBA Finals, and that is still on like the top 5 list of DBAs in an arena.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I am pretty sure when that music hit, which was an off TV, which was a non-televised match between him and the Giant at the time, Big
yep,
Show. Big Show when he was the Giant in the WCW. Like that place oh my god, just exploded. And for what it was no thrills, get down to business. I'm going to have some drums beating and I'm here to kick your ass.
yeah. It just it it was kind of the opposite effect of like flares.
Yep.
Like it wasn't drastically different, but there was an intensity to it that was missing from Flair, and um yeah, at that WCW we were there together.
Yep.
Funny enough, it was the very first live Nitro in that they ever did. Um and yeah, I remember my best friend Brandon was there with us too,
Yep.
and he's going nuts, and we're all going nuts. And I remember your girlfriend at the time was just like, "Cool."
What what do you guys what's the big damn deal?
But as
I
soon as
remember.
as soon as that gong hit and like that music played, I was actually talking to somebody at work about it the other day. It is the loudest environment I have ever been in my entire life, and it was just electric.
I
Like,
think that you Yeah, I think that you and I, we were probably 2 feet from each other, yelling, yelling at each other's face so we could kind of maybe hear each other, and I still couldn't hear you. Yelling, "Oh my God, it's Goldberg! It is Goldberg!" And I couldn't. I mean, you couldn't. It was so loud. Like when you get to like, it's like so loud. All you hear is buzzing.
yes.
That's what was happening. That's what it was. It was just a because it was so loud.
And I will argue that when he jackhammered, yes, that's right, he jackhammered the Big Show when he was the Giant in the WCW. The crowd was probably even louder.
Yep. Because he didn't because here's the thing, he didn't just like throw him up super quick and jackhammer him. Like he held him up there for a good 5 or 6 seconds. I mean, this is a 400-pound plus dude above someone else that he has above his head, and then slams him to the ground. I was like, Jesus, like
And we're
that
just like,
dude's on another level.
did he just jackhammer him? And
Yeah,
just like there was just like that moment where the crowd was just like when he went up and it was so quiet, and then as soon
yeah,
as he slammed him down, like it was nuts.
it was nuts. It was just like boom, and that match was maybe what 30 seconds.
Yeah, it
Like
wasn't super long. Like it was an end of the
I
show. They like
it was
WCW knew you wanted to see Goldberg.
yeah, and I think yeah, and I think I don't even think because I think the very following week they had they start because at that point they hadn't started like the giant Goldberg like official storyline on
Right.
WCW Nitro. So this was a kind of off non non televised. Let's see how people react type of thing, and obviously this was way before not everybody has a camera in their pocket, right? So
Yep.
no one's
Yep.
really gonna know. And we're we're it's BFE Utah, so no one's gonna know what happens after the show goes off, right? And oh, it was amazing. That was 20 plus years ago.
Oh yeah, easily. And I don't remember anything else about the card,
Nope.
but I remember that whole match. I remember the spear and going nuts when he hit the spear, and then as soon as the jackhammer hit, yeah, um, amazing.
Yeah, yeah, that was amazing.
All
And I
right.
will say, with back to your number two, I was going to mention I did see Warrior in person way probably I was maybe 13. Again, kind of a non-televised after everything. Right when Triple H came out as Hunter Hearst Helmsley, and same kind of reaction. Oh, Triple H comes out, does his thing, blah blah blah. Warrior comes out, running, running, running. The little, the tiny arena that we were in
Yeah.
just erupts. And again, it was like a 10-second match. Warrior does a couple of things, gorilla presses him, pins him, and then runs away. But I was like, dude, that was the Warrior. That was the Ultimate Warrior. Oh my god. I was within 20 feet of the Ultimate Warrior. This best day of my life.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I wasn't old enough to go see the show at the time,
Yeah, you probably would have been I don't know, maybe three or four.
but jealous, super
Yeah.
jealous.
You should be. Well, that's the reason why I brought it up.
All
Here's your face. Rub, rub, rub.
right, number one.
Number one.
Ours are the same because I don't think
Uh-huh.
there is any other correct answer.
There is not. And for all of the things that we have said, and even seeing Goldberg in person, still doesn't top this.
Nope. Nope. Number one for both of our lists is The Undertaker. Um,
Absolutely.
Even though I had him on my top five worst, but
Yeah.
Vintage Taker, when he was, at his peak as the dead man and everything, he had the most theatrical entrances. When the gong went off and the lights went out, like there's a reason he is who he is today. Like, um, and we're talking your general entrances because yeah, were there some better WrestleMania entrances? Sure.
If you're
If we're talking
factoring in
one
like
offs,
yeah, like yeah, but even still, like even his wrestling, he would still be top of this list.
he would for sure, but it wouldn't. I don't think it. I don't think there's a clear consensus.
Yeah, and you can't do and comparing like a Taker WrestleMania entrance to let's say a Cactus Jack Raw entrance. That's not an apples to apples comparison,
No,
right?
no, no, it's not.
And even comparing like WrestleMania entrances to Raw entrances, it's going to be a completely different list.
Yeah, it's got to be. They've got to be taken on their own, but yeah, the gong and then the lights going out and then the Undertaker just appearing.
Uh
Sometimes it
huh.
was in the ring, sometimes it was at the end of the aisle. And yeah, like you said, it was just cold. Like you felt like he was the dead man. He didn't
Yeah,
ever
weird.
talk. He didn't give promos. It was all pallbearer, and then all you would see was his eyes rolled up in the back of his head, and you're just like, man, this guy is scary.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And my Taker, I'm looking a little farther down the road. Taker, not obviously not motorcycle Taker, but post Paul Bearer, Um, but still, the gong, the lights go down. There's there's death in this. There's death in this room now,
Yes.
and gets. And I'm a little bit hypocritical, and I admit that. So you don't need to point it out as far as long entrances go, because he's got a long entrance. But the difference between the Undertaker and, let's say, like a Gold Dust long entrance and a um Ric Flair long entrance, the Undertaker has this air about him, right?
Yeah.
Like, because he wasn't, he had his pace down the ramp, right? And then he gets to the ramp, and then he gets up, and then he lifts his arms, and the lights come on. It's like, you know what? I'm more than willing to wait as long as you need, dude. You take your time, because I'm soaking all of this in, because you're the goddamn taker.
Yeah.
You're
Well, it's
under freaking taker. You take your time.
yeah. Well, I think the difference is purpose. Like
Yep.
he was the Undertaker. He was the dead man. He was this. Just he was that. He was that everything that his character was, and they built it so well, and he played it so well, and yes, he had a slow meandering pace, but there was a purpose to it. He's just like, I'm the dead man, and I'm gonna walk as fast as I'm gonna walk, and then I'm going to bury you.
Yep. And even his matches, kind of his entrance speed set the tone of it, because um he didn't like his matches weren't super high pace.
No, nope,
They were I wouldn't call them slow, but they're not like Shawn Michaels, Rey Mysterio type of speed. They're like,
no.
we're gonna do some. There's gonna be a feeling out period, and there's gonna be some punches. There's gonna be some kicks. We're gonna get some things. There's gonna be a couple of big power moves, and then we're gonna go from there. That's the pace, and that's the entrance pace, right?
Yeah, and I think what solidifies him at the top of my list is the staying power. It can be 20 years down the road and we're watching a random Monday Night Raw, but if that gong goes off and the lights go out,
Yep.
the arena that wherever it happens to be is going to go nuts. It doesn't matter if the Undertaker's 80 years old and walks out, like they're going to go crazy.
It's the Undertaker.
Like he's the guy.
Yep.
And yeah, his entrance, like everything about it was amazing.
Yeah. No, I agree. You can't go wrong with the Undertaker.
And there's a reason we both had him at the top of our list.
Uh huh. I think he tops most.
Yeah, and I think we're done. I think we finally worked through everything.
Wow. And here's the thing. Not that many tangents.
No, not many tangents, but goddamn, we talk a lot.
We do, man. We are long-winded. I apologize.
I hope it's a little entertaining.
Can you put a preface before this gets posted to be like, hey, pack some snacks cause it's long.
Do this while you're at work, and you can just listen for a while because we'll get to our points, and we're gonna put in some irrelevant stuff. But hey, we're fun. All right.
Yeah, yeah. There were some giggle moments. Yeah, there's some giggle moments.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, that's gonna wrap us up for today.
I think so.
Season 2, episode 1
Season
in the
two
books.
done.
Um, so as always, anybody that's listening, thank you very much. Please feel free to follow us. Subscribe to our podcast. If you have topics, if you hate any of our picks, if you want to give us some heat for some of our spicy picks, send us an email at rollinheavybjj@gmail.com. And we'll get back to you. We'd love to hear from anybody that's listening. And it's good to be back, man. It's good. It's good to sit
Good to
down
be
and just
back.
and talk about this kind of stuff. It's fun.
Yep. As we were called at a recent event, wrestling geeks. So
Yes,
wh-
I believe it was nerds.
yeah,
We're
you know what?
nerds.
I'll take it.
You know what? And there's nothing wrong because, as the oddities, just be yourself. Accept
Just
you
be
for
yourself.
who you are
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'll carry that flag
all day.
all day, every day.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening. I hope you had a good time, and we'll be back next week with a new topic, and we will see you all then.